Hello and welcome to episode 215 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now this today is the second in a 4-part series to celebrate the 2000trees Music Festival. Hopefully you've listened to the first part, which only came out yesterday. That featured interviews with the incredible Can't Swim, Foxjaw and Stick to Your Guns. So this time round I'm bringing you 3 brand new interviews with 3 completely different bands. So on today's episode, I'm joined by Superlove, Orchards, and then finally, Holding Absence. This is a whole range of different interviews, and these bands are all absolutely fantastic. Some of the best British bands out there right now for me, and I can't wait to share these interviews with you. As I said on the first episode, this was my first experience of 2000trees Festival and I absolutely loved it. The atmosphere was absolutely incredible, the sun was shining the whole time I was there, and I believe it all shows on these interviews. They're so positive, everyone's so full of energy, and I just can't wait to share them. So I think the best thing to do is to get to the first one right away. So here's me and Jacob and John from Bristol-based Superlove talking all things music. I'm here with Superlove.
Hello.
How are you both?
Not too bad, how are you?
I'm really good, and the sun has just come out as we're sat here at 2000trees, and do you know what? It's perfect time. As you sat down, the sun came out.
It's lovely, isn't it? I don't know how that happened.
That's what that is, I think, isn't it?
Yeah, we didn't plan that.
I think that's your ray of sunshine.
Oh, wow.
What I usually do, guys, is I want to get an idea of basically the music that got you into the bands that you love now and the band that you are now. Tell me about the first album that you remember buying that made you basically fall in love with maybe seeing bands live or wanting just to be in a band. That
Nice.
First one that you were like, this is incredible, I need this in my life.
I'm sure it was Green Day, American Idiot. That's the first album I remember going to the shops and buying with hard cash. And
Pocket money saved up. You
mate.
Get home, listen to every track, take out the inlay, smell it, read the lyrics.
Yeah, I smelt it. I bathed with it.
You have to. It's about $12.99. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. I mean, that was paper round back in the day. Had to save up the old pennies.
Yeah.
Were you? Yeah. No, that was mine. Green Day, American Idiot. And I remember listening to that just on repeat, going, "Cool, I'm going to play guitar now."
Yeah.
And
What was yours, dude?
Mine was, well, it would have been one of the Slipknot ones, the early ones, because my dad got me into them.
Yeah.
I think the song that got me into it more so was Wait and Bleed by
Man, that
Slipknot.
is a fucking huge tune.
Because I think I must have been, I went like 7 or something. And I was
That's
just about
really
getting
young.
into kind of, it is, like that sort of music. And my dad was like, oh, you might like this. My world was changed. I picked up a guitar, instantly I just knew what I was doing.
That's incredible. It's
Hero.
weird, like I've had Foxjaw on today and we just talked about bands that influenced us, and we were talking literally Green Day straight away, and I don't realise how many people get influenced by them. My first proper CD was Dookie, and I absolutely
Nice.
worshipped it, and I listened to Longview and Basket Case, and When I Come Around, and I thought, how do 3 people make this much noise?
I think it was like said about Foxjaw, like we're the same age as them. They're good mates of ours, and I think it's like our age group that are into like rock and like alternative music now. Just like that album for them and Green Day was just massive, because that was like popular music at the time, wasn't it? Like punk rock and stuff, like Blink as well. So it's just mental to think about now with all this like like the pop scene and everything. They were the forefront, weren't they? So yeah, class band.
What
Love
about
'em.
gigs? Because that's obviously the moment that you experience these songs, not just on a CD, but in front of you. You can get that whole vibe of being at a gig. People all there to do the same thing. What was that first gig you remember going to?
Do you know what? My first gig was Slipknot again.
Okay, he's just
I
trying to
know,
be cool.
it's so
Mine was
boring.
Cooler Shaker. It's
No,
not
it
cool
was-
at all. Yours is unreal.
It was my dad was like, oh, should we go see him? This is in 2008. And I'd just been playing at that point for a while. But that was the one that got me into it again, fully.
I can't believe that. I don't know how at your young age you go and see Slipknot, and then what the hell do you go and see after that is anywhere near it?
level it out with a bit of Take That on the way home.
Wow. Back for good on the way home with a bit of Dad in the car. Lovely. What was yours? It can't be as good as Slipknot.
No, it's nowhere near. Take
That, wasn't it?
No, yeah, I think it might have been actually. No, my first like experience of going to like a gig or a festival was Glastonbury for the day. My mum took me and my brothers there for the day after a scout camp we went to or something like that, and I saw Tom Jones on the Pyramid stage.
See, this is not cool now.
And I was. Yeah,
I knew I wanted to be in a band from that moment.
Yeah, I saw Tom and I thought, you know what, I want a bit of that.
That's it.
But yeah, no, that was my first experience of. But like bands, my first band I went to see was All Time Low. So.
Oh, nice.
And then I was obsessed with them for a few years. But yeah.
And how does it feel to be here today after 2 years of cancelling this festival, thinking, shit, is this ever going to happen? Is it unbelievable? Does it feel now you've been let off this leash where for 2 years you guys couldn't be doing shows and doing what you want to do all day, every day?
Well, I think we had this show booked in, like, literally when it was announced in 2019, I think we were supposed to play, or 2020, I can't remember now. But so it's been like a few years of us, like, it's just been there in the distance of us, like, looking forward to. So, yeah, I mean, it's pretty mental now we're actually here. Like, I've been for the day once, seen a few bands, and you've been before, haven't you?
Yeah, I was here 2019 for the day, I think.
Yeah. So to actually be here playing finally it's really cool.
Do you look
Can't
at
wait.
that poster and see bands like Thrice, who are just unbelievable, Jimmy Eat World? Are you literally sitting there thinking, this rules, this is framed going on my wall at home, this is an achievement and a milestone for the band?
Absolutely, yeah. And I'll put a little highlighter where our name is, because you might miss it.
Yeah.
Right down at the bottom. There we
A
are.
magnifying glass, sellotape over the poster just at that one bit.
Someone comes on like, why have you got a magnifying glass hanging up next to that? I go, well. Look a bit closer, you'll see. But yeah.
How's the nerves before a show like this? Do you think to yourself, my God, is anyone going to turn up, or is it going to be rammed? You know.
God, yeah. I'm always worried that no one's going to be there. It usually works out all right, to be fair. My nerves don't kick in until the band before on their like second to last song normally.
Yeah.
But I'm all right at the moment. But yeah, it's waiting around for the band before.
I just normally just like very anxious about getting here.
Yeah.
As soon as we're here and settled, I'm like, thank God. So yeah.
Is there any other bands that are on the bill today that have really influenced you over the years that you're like, I need to see that set, I'm going to do whatever I can this weekend to see them?
I'd say there's a band called Press Tomeko who we absolutely love, their newest album, and they're playing tomorrow, I believe. They're playing tomorrow or Saturday, and their latest album is absolutely unbelievable, so we're excited to see them. But like bands like You Me at 6, I mean, I've been like obsessed with them since I was like flipping 13 or something like that. So yeah, very excited for them as well.
I think for me, Higher Power.
Yeah. Good shout.
Only recently recently found them, but they've kind of like made a bit of a impact on, I guess, how I write things in a little way. So.
That's good.
Nice.
I haven't heard these two bands live, so it's like, right, I'll add them to my list, I'll go and check them out, and then I'd probably fall in love with this brand new band, and they become my favourite band, which is awesome.
And that's what happens here, is like someone sees the name and they're like, I think I know them-ish, and then they'll just pop round and maybe really enjoy it, so yeah.
One thing I do on this podcast, and it's going to be difficult because there's two of you, and you're going to have to agree, but what I do is every artist that's been on, all these different guests, they get to choose the outro piece of music after we've been interviewed today. So, it's not one of your own songs, because that would be really arrogant and really big-headed. What you need to do is pick a song by a band that you both love, and if it's something different, we could do a live, coin toss or rock, paper, scissors.
Nice.
But what's the song that you both would pick as the final one?
Should we, on the count of three, should we say the title?
And we got this wrong.
Should we say the...
Are some other podcasts doing this? Because if they are...
No, we did it where... We both said an answer at the same time, but we both said two separate answers.
We got it wrong, didn't we? Shall we say the song title? Ready? After three. One, two, three. Bleed.
Oh.
By Meshuggah.
Yeah.
Oh my
That's
God.
MES. You know the drill.
That new album is phenomenal.
We went and saw them a couple of weeks ago in Bristol. Mind blowing. You saw them.
Do you know what? When you asked me about the gig thing, I was going to say, because I watched Meshuggah literally like last month, and I was actually going to say that was probably the best one I've ever been to.
But you didn't know, did you?
I didn't say that.
No. Anyway. Sorry.
What? He's just thrown you right under the bus there. Why didn't you say it? Well, I'm saying it now. That band are on another level that I've seen. I went to see Tool this year, and I think they are probably the most perfected band, and that's why they took 10 years to release an album, but Meshuggah are just unbelievable. That album, everyone should be talking about it, and for some reason it's not quite as high on the lists that I want everyone to listen to it now.
Well, it's a weird one with them. They're like my favourite band going, and I know what you mean. That album, the new one, is unreal. But as everyone they've released for about 2 weeks, I'm like, oh, it's not that good. But then as time goes on, I'm like, oh, fucking hell, this is actually unreal. And it gets to that point
All
now.
those layers that start to come out.
You do. The more you listen to it, the more you notice. You think, do you know what? Actually, this is amazing. Because at first I was like, oh, this is a bit boring, really. But
and then something just changes, and that's it. Then you're like living it, breathing it, and you can't do anything but have those songs just kind of digesting in your head. It's unreal. Boys, I wish you all the luck. It's been a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
It's been a pleasure as all ours. Thanks for having us.
And we'll do this again at another festival or one of your own shows, and we'll have a longer chat and we'll talk all about the influences and all that again. But thank you for today. Enjoy your weekend and stay safe.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, mate. Cheers.
So there we have it. That was the first interview out of 3 interviews on this 2000 Trees podcast special. That was me and Jacob and John from the amazing Superlove. And what I've noticed since I've returned from 2000 Trees, there's a lot of buzz online. I've seen so many tweets and Facebook comments from people that have discovered Superlove this weekend for the first time, and they're getting so much love, so much hype, and it's great because they really are fantastic guys and an incredible band. Next up on today's special, we have the amazing Dan, Lucy and Sam from Brighton-based band Orchards. I've seen this band before, and you'll hear it on the interview how I tell them about the first time I discovered them. They really are one of the most tight, professional and live bands I've seen. I absolutely love the guitar tones from Sam. Lucy's vocals are just absolutely amazing, and they're just unbelievable. If you haven't checked them out, please do. But before then, let's check out the interview. So here's me and Dan, Lucy and Sam from Orchards talking all things 2000 Trees.
Whatever happened to see how I feel? Can't keep it bottled up and hope it's not real. We hit a few stop signs along the way, but ignore the red lights. You could be twisted about it. You could be reckless, I doubt it.
Orchards, welcome to the Mark and Me podcast. How are you all doing today?
We're doing very well. We've just arrived.
We're doing good, thank you.
Yeah, it's nice that the weather's changed since we got here.
You brought the sun, I think.
We always do. We always seem to.
I saw you the very first time at the Sound House in Leicester. It was about 3, maybe 4 years ago. And I actually put you guys as my Band of the Week on Skip to the End podcast. You may remember the name, you may have done some research.
I do have vague memories.
And basically, it was at the, is it Homemade Festival, something like that? It's
Handmade
called
Festival.
Handmade.
Yeah.
And you guys just took to the stage. It was a small little room, and you fucking owned it. And the tightness of your guitar with the bass, the vocals, everything was phenomenal.
Thank you.
Genuinely was one of the best performances I saw. And it's a pleasure to have you here today. Tell me, each of you, how it all started. So let's go right back to the early days. What was that first CD or tape that you bought that you remember falling in love with that made you think, I'm going to be in a band one day?
For me, it was, I remember buying my first CD on my own. First time I was allowed to town on my own, and I bought Fight Star, their first album.
This is when you show the age. I'm an old man, and you got Fight Star.
Fight Star. I remember playing it on my mum's stereo really loud, and she was so disappointed in me, and I was like, yeah, this is so cool.
This is the heavy side of Busted.
The first one, so my dad... Oh, thank you, Daniel. My dad's absolutely loves music. He's not got a musical bone in his body, but he loves music. So for me, the first CD I got by myself was the Wombats' first album.
That's a great album.
Great album. I really fancied this boy who lived across the street from me, and I asked him to show me some music that he liked, and that was one of the CDs he gave me. And I was like genuinely hooked. I wrote a musical to that album because I was an absolute nerd, and it was just my favourite thing in the world.
Have you still got that musical somewhere written?
My dad reformatted the laptop. And I lost every word of it. I mean, these things happen, you know. Maybe one day I'll try and write it again. Who knows?
Can you top this with your choice? You've got the Wombats and Fight Star.
Mine's a little bit, I guess, convoluted, but it was like my Dad used to play loads of music in the car, so it was the first memory I have of being like, this is sick, was Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Red Hot Chili Peppers.
That album is a masterpiece.
Yeah, but then I reckon I can trace like my musical taste back to one club night in Liverpool in Barfly called Mixed Bag, and they basically played like 2000s indie. So you've got Vampire Weekend, you've got the Maccabees, obviously the Wombats, Klaxons, Late of the Pier, and yeah, that was me. So I got an acoustic guitar after hearing Blood Sugar Sex Magic, and then I was like, why doesn't the acoustic sound like that? And then I realised I need an electric guitar, and here we are.
You need Rick Rubin. You need
well,
an
yeah.
incredible place.
Apart from that,
Do we try and play like I Could Have Lied, that nice little acoustic guitar lick?
yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Amazing. And what was those first live shows you went to? Because music for me changed. I went to see Green Day on their Dookie tour. This is why I'm an old man. And when I saw Billy Joe on stage, I realised music wasn't just the CD. I realised that it could make your ribcage shake. It could make you have those hairs on your neck stick up. Can you remember that first gig you went to? And admit it if it wasn't a cool band, that you were like, wow, this is what I want to do.
I mean, for me, they're the coolest band in the world, and I saw Biffy Clyro play on their Puzzle tour.
Biffy Clyro are literally
the best band in the
greatest
world.
British band that
Yeah.
we have since the Beatles, and people do not give them enough respect. They headline Download. Simon Neil is the best songwriter in the country right now.
Absolutely. Cannot say a better word to that statement.
So this is not embarrassing. I don't find this embarrassing, but some people judge me on it. The first gig I went to was S Club 7, because I'm a 90s kid.
Was it when they were still a 7-piece, or had they started to lose people
it was
at that
the
point?
last show. It was the
Oh,
last
wow.
ever show. I feel very lucky that I went. However, the first gig I ever saw where I was like, this is music and this is what I want to do, was Jessie J's first tour. It was the Heartbeat tour, and she had the most amazing outfit on, this like purple wig. It was really cool. And I cried for an hour and a half.
I excuse my ignorance, but is she still going? Is she
100%.
That's good.
She's releasing new music and she's getting better than she ever has been. She's just been on a Chinese like song contest and she won.
Wow.
She's got one of the best voices I've ever heard.
Like absolutely huge everywhere. Number one albums then just disappeared.
Yeah, it was her management, I think, but and her health. I listened to a podcast the other day, but I watched her do the Heartbeat tour. I was like 14, maybe 16, and it was spectacular.
Come on, dude. This has got the bars here.
First gig was with my parents, and it was UB40. So take that as you take it. But gotta say, it was that moment that I realised that I needed an electric guitar. Was watching the Red Hot Chili Peppers in the MEN Arena in Manchester.
Oh my god!
And I was just like, wow. I think was it Stadium Arcadium tour? I can't remember. And I was just like, okay, well, that's what I want to do.
Was that John Frusciante at that point?
Yeah, he's him and Mike Einziger from Incubus are like the two people I guess form how I play guitar, to be honest.
I had Brandon Boyd on recently, and Incubus, my god,
they are my
still
favourite band.
Right.
Yeah.
He is as nice as you expect him to be. He gave me an hour and a half, and he was just the most chilled, beautiful man I've ever seen.
That's amazing. Like, my friend is an editor for Guitar World, and he liked to gloat to me the other day that he had an hour-long interview with John Frusciante. Yeah. So
my God, I'm very jealous.
Levels.
So guys, obviously the last 2 years have been a bit batshit crazy, and we are now finally sat here, the sun is out, and we are genuinely here. It doesn't feel like it was going to happen. I kept thinking it was going to be cancelled again and delays. How does it feel for you guys to now be doing what you absolutely get up every day to do and want to live, breathe? Does it feel like you've been like let out of prison? Does it feel like you've got this new lease of life?
Prison is the right word. Yeah. Prison. Yeah. We got out and we've been playing shows, and now this is our first kind of proper field festival of the year.
Didn't you have a warm up yesterday? Was it?
We did. We played in. Was it yesterday? Yeah, yesterday we played in.
It's bad when you don't know if it's yesterday.
It was yesterday. We played in London in the Victoria. We
How
played
was
with
that?
Brilliant, amazing. Actually, went really well. Played with the Winter Passing.
Yep.
Who were on BSM as well, and it was great. So it was fun doing that. We played a few shows before, but we kind of took the whole of June off. We didn't play any shows over June, so we thought we kind of like jump in and do a bit of a warm up before we play our favourite festival.
And are you nervous right now being at a festival like this? Do you feel like you're kind of away for 2 years? Do you kind of like, when you had the summer holidays at school and you got back and you're like, I've forgotten how to write?
Oh my God, no. I mean, I'd say it's like riding a bike, but I can't ride a bike, so I won't use that analogy. But I feel, honestly, it's going to sound really cheesy, cue like violin music, but it feels like home. I feel like I'm at home again.
Yeah.
Like I've been waiting 2.5 years to be at this festival. From the second we finished it in 2019, I was like buzzing to be back again the next year, and obviously that never happened. And we released our debut album a week before the first lockdown. So all of these album songs that we've been working on this album our whole lives effectively to release this music, and we've still not played it live to a Trees audience, and we wrote it for a Trees audience. So it feels really weird, but it feels like absolutely home, like normal.
Any nerves for you, or are you just like, give me the guitar, I want to go on stage, I feel like I've got out of prison, like we said, and I just want to fucking play?
Nah, just to echo them, to be honest, it was just like, we've written a whole new EP since our debut album now, and we wrote it with like a Trees full tent in mind. So it's literally just cannot wait to get on stage tomorrow.
Oh, it's amazing. What I do on this podcast, and normally it's a one-on-one, and I've had 2-on-1, but you're the first 3-on-1 today, so it's going to be quite difficult. The outro piece of music to today's interview with us three is literally chosen by the guest.
Okay.
So is there a song that means a lot to you guys by anyone in the world? Maybe we all choose something and then we'll toss a coin, or you can just arm wrestle, or whatever you want to do.
So for the tour we've just played, we had a walk-on song, and we decided this walk-on song in 2019 and then had to wait in order to do the tour. And our walk-on song is Junior Senior. Don't stop.
Move your feet.
Yeah.
I've not
Move
heard
your
that
feet.
for years.
And it's our walk-on song because it genuinely brings us so much joy, and we're hopefully, if we're allowed, playing it before we play. So I feel like that's a bit poetic. Like it'll probably be one of the last times we do it this year, and we've been building up for years for this.
Are you
So
both
it's also
happy
that
with
song
this?
that we every time we play it, we walk on stage, you see people being like, "Oh yeah, fuck, I remember this song."
And the thing is, you can't not like that song. If you do, I think you're dead inside.
Exactly. Yeah, 100%. Yeah, it's like, yeah, defo, that's it. Brings the vibes.
When you've been on tour for 10 days and you're a bit tired,
That's the one.
Raises the mood for you to get on stage.
Gets people out the smoking area, gets them in, gets them going, and then we can start.
Everyone's like, "Oh, Junior C's are here, but let's go on and let's go and check this band out." And the next thing, oh, it's not them, but we'll
Yeah.
stick around.
We'll stick around, yeah.
I love it. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. It's an absolute pleasure, and let's just have
Yeah.
an incredible weekend.
Yeah, thank you, man.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So there's my interview with the amazing Orchards. Such great people, the sun was shining, we had some beers, and it was just amazing. I've been a huge fan of theirs for a good couple of years, and it's so good to see them doing so well. Their EP is out now, and you need to go and check it out. It's absolutely brilliant. I'm really excited to see where they go next, because for me, they're one of the most exciting British bands out there right now, and they're just lovely people, which is also good. Next up, and the final interview on today's special, is the amazing Cardiff-based Holding Absence. For me, one of the best bands out there right now. I think they're going to be absolutely huge. A band that I can see headlining the smaller stages at somewhere like Download in the next couple of years. The buzz that this band is creating is on another level, and Lucas, for me, has one of the best vocals out there. I was lucky enough to see this band supporting Funeral for a Friend earlier this year, and they honestly blew everyone away off stage. They were so good, and from that moment I've been obsessed. Their album is absolutely fantastic, and for me, Lucas doesn't even have any idea just how good they are, which is really amazing when you're talking to someone like this. So what I'm going to do now is to get straight to it. So here's me and Lucas talking all things 2000 Trees. Lucas, thank you for joining me today on the Mark and Me podcast.
Thanks for having me. Yeah.
What I want to do today is for anyone that's tuned in and might discover your band for the first time. Talk to me about when you were growing up. What was that first album that you bought that you remember made you fall in love with bands and just basically maybe shape the music that you're listening to today?
Great question, man. Like, I love talking music, and I think a lot of musicians don't talk about music enough. I know it sounds stupid, but yeah. So I think like my first album, I bought my mum when I was 8 years of age. I bought my mum Songs About Jane by Maroon 5.
Amazing.
And then I ended up listening to it so much it scratched, and it was a bad present on her end, but a good one on mine. But I think the main one that kind of kicked me down this trajectory was Green Day, American Idiot.
Wow.
You know, I just remember like putting Kerrang on and the big green explosion of paint, and then like I think for me though it was like Wake Me Up When September Ends as well, being on there and having that kind of duality of like chaotic and still quite melodic, you know.
That's the word, melodic. I think I'm a bit old, I'm showing my age, but I was for Dookie. That was my first one of my first albums, and when I heard When I Come Around, She, just the minimalistic of the guitar tones, one guy playing guitar, one bassist and one drum, I thought, how the fuck are they sounding so big with three of them?
And I always think, I listen back to Longview, and like you said, it's just three people with three instruments, but it sounds so full, you know?
It is, it's
and I
amazing.
think, and I mean, obviously by the time 10 years later American Idiot come out, it was like proper bells and whistles everywhere, you know? But yeah, you're right, man. But I think for me anyway, and then getting into, you know, buying international super hits or whatever that greatest hits album they released was, like, I did a cover of Basket Case at my year 7 talent show, and
amazing.
And I just like, I think for me that was a really good place to start because it valued music, but it also introduced a little bit of chaos and energy that a kid of my age had never really experienced before.
So what about live music? I mean, you can listen to those albums, fall in love with Green Day, but it's when you go to that first gig and those little hairs on your neck stick up, your rib cage shakes from the bass. Can you remember that first proper gig you went to when you're like, okay, this is what I want to fucking do forever?
Yeah, that's a great question because I think growing up, my parents are really, really big on music, so they would take me to shows every now and then. And obviously it was like, I went to see Busted in 2003, and I was 8 years of age, and like that was the first time I ever saw like a band. And I remember, you know, they looked so small, but it felt so big, you know, it was like such an overwhelming thing at the time. But I think seeing bands like Paramore, My Chemical Romance, like that kind of thing. And then I will say as well, I went to Sonosphere Festival in 2011, and that was Metallica, Biffy, and Slipknot.
Wow.
And for me, you know, on my 18th birthday, I got a Biffy tattoo, and like Slipknot and Metallica, I think like that was when I really was like, I'm in now, you know, like, you know, you'd go to shows because it was cool or whatever, but even as a kid, it's like shows are expensive, and I think finding a small, cheap scene is hard when you're like 13 or 14, you know, or maybe it's not, but I don't know. The first festival, though, that was the moment where I was like, I'm strapped in for this for good now, you know.
Simon Neil as well. If you ever want to set yourself on a British songwriter, there is no one better. I think, and it's massive words, and people have criticised me, but I think it's like a modern day Kurt Cobain. I honestly do.
Yeah. Oh, dude, when you listen to like, especially when you listen to Convex Concave off the first record,
unbelievable.
So much.
Black and Sky is like an early Nirvana EP.
Yeah, and like, it's funny because, you know, I watched interviews where they said they loved Nirvana growing up and stuff, but like, you know, I don't think you would get it unless you listen to Black and Sky. But I think once again that's a compliment to Biffy, because to not be able to hear their inspirations and influences by the time Vertigo of Bliss comes out or Infinity Land come out, it's like they've obviously evolved way beyond their initial inspirations. And but like you said, man, like I get you, and I do agree to an extent, like how like just artistic and unique I think Simon Neil is, you know.
And he keeps on doing it. Every album they're doing something different. They introduce a choir, then they introduce strings. By the time Infinity Land came about, and you're hearing like Now the Action's on Fire, that ending of those
dude, or No Such Man as Crash, and all these crazy,
God, No Such Thing as a Jaggedy Snake, all that. Like, it's mind-blowing how this band are just continually doing it, and now they can do it on a scale where they can headline Download. They could headline any festival in the country because they can just adapt, and they got melody, they got acoustic songs. It's unbelievable.
And for somebody who, as you do, like I've learned this, you do just fall off interest when you grow up, I think, you know. And for me it was like Only Revolutions was the first one, and Opposites was insane record, but then Ellipsis I fell off a little bit, and then the new record I can't remember the name of it, annoyingly.
It's a really long title.
Yes, it is, but I just remember when the first song came on, I was like, they still got it, you know what I mean? Like, and I fell in love with the album because it made me realize I don't think Biffy was the problem when I kind of went off them. I think it was just me, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, they've been so consistent.
But the
so.
fact you can dip out and then go, do
And
you
come
know what,
back-
I'll come back in.
Yeah, and
and
still
they've
love
still
it.
got the elements, they've got the breakdowns, those time signatures, those
Yeah.
mad little breakdowns. You're just like, I would listen to them forever.
Yeah, and you could, because
Yeah.
there's enough variation to not get bored as well, you know? I think that's a, yeah.
Now let's talk about Holding Absence. Obviously, that's your
Yeah.
band.
Yeah,
we
yeah.
could talk about Biffy forever.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to see you guys supporting Funeral for a Friend. I
thank
think
you.
it was the tail end of last year in Birmingham.
Yes.
It may have been this year. It
I
wasn't
think
that
it was
long
it was
ago.
February this year.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm not just saying this, and I was literally just talking to Sean from the Blackout before you got here. Your vocal performance on that night, there was something that I was like, you know, when you go and see a band, you're like, should I get there for the support band or not? You genuinely stopped me in my steps, and I was like, this is fucking incredible. Who is
Thank
this
you.
band? I really, truly mean this.
Thanks, man.
And I was just absolutely blown away. And the momentum that your band has got at the moment, everybody is now saying, have you heard them? And I'm like, yeah, I did actually. They supported Funeral, and then, and they did this slot. And then you seem to be on this, I'm not sure if you're aware because you're in the band, but you're
Yeah.
going like this at the moment. And it feels
Thank
like
you,
there's
man.
this real passion and drive. How's it feel, or are you not aware? Are you enjoying it too much to notice?
I think, you know, it's one of those things where, like, when you spend so much time premeditating and dreaming about something, that when it happens, it's like as surprising as it isn't. You know, I know that sounds really stupid, but it's like, for me, the dream and the goal has been to be busy, you know?
Yeah.
And then, like you said, so, you know, since that tour, we've done America, Australia, Europe, Download, we did like the Slam Dunk kind of shows with, you know, and we've done so much stuff, and it's like, it's only when I like step back and like kind of look at it from afar that I realize, you know, like, oh my God, what the hell's happening, you know? So but the main thing that I always just think is really important is like, I'm so grateful for it, you know,
Yeah.
especially after the last 2 years of, you know, not having anything in my life, and kind of looking at photos of myself on stage and feeling like it was a different person, you know. And now it's like, it's kind of happening. It's really magical, and I think for me now, I think the goal is just to keep kind of doing myself proud, and keep proving people who believe in us right, you know, and making sure we don't slip up or let them down in any way. I think being a British musician, you know, everyone in the scene looks at every band and kind of wants them to do well, but I think, you know, there's so many bands. I think when someone buys a ticket to your show, it is a real compliment, because there's so many shows going on. There's so many bands.
And everyone's skinned, and
Yes,
time
yeah.
goes faster. Every year I get older, time just seems to keep going.
Yeah,
And
it never
for them to
stops.
commit those 2 hours to you, it might not sound a lot, but they're giving up their night. They're
Dude,
going,
I know,
do you know
and-
what? I want to give this to this band.
Yeah, and for me, I know it sounds like really over the top, but every day I play, or every song we write, I feel the kind of weight of all those people who've seen us over the years and invested any sort of emotion in us, and like, I think pride is a big part of what we do. Like, I see people say, like, I'm proud of you guys, and I'm like, that's such a special thing, because in reality, you don't really know us, you know, we're like this kind of, we're just a group of kids making music, you know, but like, there is this sense of pride, and for me, it's like, I never want to let anyone down who believes in us, because at the end of the day, they've done their part of the job. Like, it's our part of the bargain or part of the deal, I guess, is to work hard and is to play those shows, you know. So, but yeah, really grateful, man, and just.
I love
yeah.
the how humble you are, but the fact is, like, I don't know if you have any idea of the potential that's behind your band right now. You could be that band that could be 5 years' time headlining the smallest stage at Download. You have that much potential
Thank
right
you,
now.
man.
You
Yeah.
really do, and you seem to be just enjoying every moment of it. I don't ever see a performance from you guys, and you look like you're kind of just, oh, we'll get through this set and do what we can.
For sure,
and, you
yeah.
know, and there are a lot of bands that will just get through that set, but you're not one of them.
Thank you, and I think it just comes from. I think it just comes from the fact that we are just like music fans first, you know. It's like I've said to you, like, dude, you know, I know we're talking about my band now, and that's the point of the interview, but like, I would rather an hour-long interview about my favorite bands than my band, you
Of
know,
course.
because I'm a music listener, man. I
Of
love
course.
music, like, you know, and like, I think for me, it's like, it all comes from this constant reminder of like, I grew up listening to these bands and looking up to them, and the thought that I might be one of those bands for anyone, like, I just couldn't ever let that go to waste, you know. But thank you. I really appreciate the kind words.
And now we're sitting here right now. The sun's out. I can't
just-
believe
just
it.
come
Actually,
out, I
literally
know.
just here. We're at 2000trees. there's a very special kind of feel about here. I was at Slam Dunk, I've done Reading, I've done Download, but this seems quite intimate and like a family, even though it's not. There's obviously thousands, but it seems perfect size. Now, how does it feel when this has been cancelled for 2 years, that it's finally here and you're returning to basically doing what you love?
Yeah, dude. You know, I will say as well, like involvement in this festival is quite unique this year because my favorite band are Thrice, our drummer's favorite band are Idols, and like this is like one of the best festivals. This is probably the best festival in Britain, in my opinion. And honestly, we've been away for the last 3 months on tour, and we all said to ourselves, look, let's just go to 2000trees, watch some of our favorite bands, spend time with our girlfriends that we've not been with for ages, and enjoy this festival the way everyone else is enjoying it.
Yeah.
And then last week we got an offer to play, and I was just like, yeah, of course,
can't turn it down.
yeah. So you know, it's special for us today, you know. So yeah, we're really excited to play, man. You know, we played twice before, and I just feel like there's a real sense of energy. And like I said about being a British musician, like imagine if Biffy were a band starting today. They would play this festival every year, you know?
And they would, and you see them go from the smallest stage all the way up
to the top. Yeah.
But you just said something then, my ears like literally sparked up. Thrice for me are my all-time favourite bands.
Nice,
Dustin
dude.
as a songwriter is...
I've got a Vizu tattoo on my arm.
I bet you can't wait till tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm going to lose my mind.
But Tepe's guitar work with Dustin, the vocal work, everything about that band I idolise. And genuinely, the way that band have evolved from Artist in the Ambulance and the early stuff to Palms, which is like got that melodic stuff of like Beyond the Pines.
Yeah.
But their new album is like got this Radiohead element.
Yeah, Radiohead's one of my other favourite bands.
And I honestly think there is nobody in the world that can touch Thrice. I honestly don't. They are unbelievable.
And like, oh man, it just like, you know, I mean, dude, the Alchemy Index is like, in my opinion, like one of the most ambitious but like insane pieces of music in like literally 21st century music history. Like if you literally read like the wiki page about that album, like the fact that every last song on every EP is written as a sonnet in iambic pentameter about man and his relationship to the element,
it's
and
insane.
they use the same motif. Like it's genius, man.
And they did it themselves. They produced it, most of it. They engineered it. It's insane.
I don't know if you're a vinyl guy, but
I've got the one with all the orange, the blue, the white.
Yeah,
recently came out.
Literally bought the repress, right? And I got Beggars as well quite recently.
Me too, the pink one. Listen to the Thrice cast.
But, and you've probably seen this then, if you go in the liner notes, every member of that band has written like a think piece about every song on that album. I don't know, like go home and check it out.
I've left it sealed for this reason that I don't want to open it and touch it yet. It's too proud. I've waited for this. It was going on eBay for like $200-300 quid.
Yeah.
And then they did a repress, and I was like, I
need
can't
that now.
open this. It's too precious.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, man. The thing is, I'm just such a for me, it's like putting it on and not being able to pause it is like this magical thing for me. So like,
and Major Minor's coming out now. On the Vagrant 25th
yeah, the 25th
edition,
anniversary, bro. And I bought the To Be Everywhere independent
like
record
all
one,
that blue and white, incredible.
Dude, yeah, so that's so sick to hear though, because like I think Thrice will always be undervalued.
Yeah,
because they came from the scene. I think, you know, it's like because they started as
all
a post-hardcore band,
Warped Tour times and all this.
And I think people will always lump them in. As much as I love bands like Alexis, I think or like, you know, whoever, people will always lump them in as that. But the journey I've gone on with that band is akin to Radiohead, or I mean, even like the Beatles. You know, like the way that those albums have evolved.
Is Tom York, and he absolutely loves John Lennon, and I've had him on this podcast 3 times.
No way!
Yes, I absolutely worship
That's so
the guy.
sick.
And on the last episode we had him on, he started to already tell me that this Horizons East, which is out now, there's a follow-up.
Yeah, and there's
Horizons
a West, right? Yeah.
And it's already pretty much done, and they've done it themselves. And I'm sitting here now like, give it me now.
Yeah,
because I just want to hear more songs, because Scavengers and is it Colour in the Sky track 1 is just unbelievable. Like, I can't believe that. And they should be headlining every festival.
Bro.
It
And
blows
to be
my
honest,
mind.
though, I think this is why I love this festival so much. Is like it's like my type of person, you know. I think like if Thrice were headlining Redden and Leeds, I'd struggle with the diluted version of their crowd. Like, whereas watching them tomorrow, I just know everybody in the field is just going to be as
I can't
insanely
wait. The whole
popular.
album as well. And I'm like, what other songs are you going to play?
I know.
Please play Black Honey. You know.
Yeah, dude. But even then, like the fact that they came back with To Be Everywhere.
I know.
And it's like Hurricane is like
The opening
it's up
track
there with like Where Is My Mind is like, you know, a classic.
That's that
forever
guitar
song,
riff
you
that
know.
starts and it kicks in. I'm
Ugh.
like, how do you do it?
Yeah. So
My final question, dude, is, and I do this on every episode, and I've done 200 episodes of this podcast, but I ask the guest that comes on to pick the outro song. So it can be any song by any band. So once our interview's all wrapped up and edited, the final piece of music that's played is chosen by who's on the podcast. I've had on this podcast, Anthony Hopkins, Mads Mikkelsen, Kevin Smith,
dude.
Bruce Campbell, Thrice,
Yeah.
all these people. But now it's your moment. So as this is all wrapped up, and it might be Thrice because we've just absolutely gushed over them
it'd be
for
rude
10
not
minutes.
to. Yeah.
What song do you want to play at the end of today's interview?
So, purely because I literally in the last 2 days had this epiphany with this Thrice song. The song Child of Dust, which is the last song on the Earth EP.
Amazing.
I didn't realize this, but when they recorded it, the song is about essentially it's about a burial, I think,
Yes.
right? It's kind of the vibe I was getting. But what they did with the microphone, I couldn't believe it. They actually buried the microphone underground while recording that.
I did
and if
not
you
know
listen
this.
to it, if you listen to it, you can, and obviously in a minute you'll play it, like listen to that song slowly devolve into the actual sound of something being buried underground. It's like, that's sort of magic you can't like.
I love that they did
it's
this.
insane. So yeah, I 100% go with that one. Yeah.
Thank you for coming on, dude. I think we could
Thanks
do
for
about
having
a 2-hour special just
Yeah.
on Thrice and other bands.
Yeah,
but it's
yeah.
refreshing to talk about other stuff and not just your own stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm really excited for everything that's coming up for you guys. I
Thank you,
really
man.
meant it. The momentum, the way it's going for you, you can't fuck this up. It's going to be incredible, dude.
Thanks, man.
Thank
I
you
really
so much for
appreciate
coming
it.
on.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, dude. So there it is. There's my interview with me and Lucas from the absolutely incredible Holding Absence. As I said at the start of the interview, you need to go and check this band out. They are absolutely phenomenal, one of the best British bands right now on the scene, and they're going to be absolutely huge. I predict massive things for this band, and the best thing about it is they're the most humble guys I've ever spoken to. Lucas is fascinating, and I really hope he comes back on the podcast to do a special just dedicated to him. I feel we could talk for absolutely hours, and we clicked straight away. The chemistry was there, and he's just absolutely lovely. So that brings us to the end of this second part of a 4-part 2000trees special. This episode for me had a bit of something for everyone. Superlove, Orchards and Holding Absence. Some of the best British bands out there right now. All absolutely lovely people, and I'm so grateful for them all coming on this podcast special. If you've enjoyed today's episode, all the links on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram are on markandme.com. All I ask is you to share it. Maybe retweet the episode, put it on Facebook and share it across your whole friends. Share it across your whole group of friends, or put it on your Instagram stories. It really goes a long way in promoting Mark and Me, and really does get a whole new audience out there to discover this podcast, so it's really appreciated. And if you've really enjoyed today's episode, I am a one-man team, so I rely heavily on my Patreon account. You can go on there and help support this podcast for as little as £1 a month. And for that, you're getting a guaranteed 8 episodes every single month. That's 2 a week. I give some incredible prizes away and so much more. And it really does go a long way. So please, if you've enjoyed today's episode, for as little as £1, that's it, a month, it can make a huge difference. So thanks so much. As I've said many times on these specials, this is only the second part. The third part will have 3 brand new interviews for you all from 3 brand new bands, and that will be coming up very soon. So until then, look after yourself, take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Dear prodigal, you are my son and I supplies you not your spirit but your shame. All Eden's wealth arrayed before your eyes. I fathom not you wanted to escape. Though I only ever gave you love, like every child you've chosen to repay. space.